Our Distinguished American Award is presented by our dinner sponsor, 777 Partners. This year's winner is an icon in the American sports and business world. In college, Jerry Jones played for Coach Frank Broyles with notable teammates Ken Hatfield, All-American, Glenn Ray Hines, Outland Trophy winner, Lloyd Phillips, Hall of Famer, Ronnie Cavis, Walter Camp, 1986 Coach of the Year, Jimmy Johnson. The coaching staff for that team included a ton of star names, Hayden Fry, Johnny Majors, Barry Switzer. So this man knows all about the game of college football.
Jerry Jones was born in 1942 in California, but his parents, Pat and Arminda Jones, returned to North Little Rock, where he grew up and played football for the Wildcats. Mr. Jones attended the University of Arkansas, where he became a starter and co-captain for the only Razorback football national championship team.
We went down there and beat the University of Texas, when individually we were never the same again. You were a part of a team that had just beaten the very best. And then we became the very best. And therein lies, to me, the finest quality about sports and the finest quality about football. It's really having that blind faith again. It is understanding that you really can, through effort and hard work, be better than you're supposed to be.
He received a degree in business from the University of Arkansas. Redshirted as a freshman, he spent his fifth year earning a Master's of Arts.
Jerry is his fame and fortune and so forth is phenomenal today, but he was infamous in college. He drove the biggest car. He had the prettiest girl. He was a smart guy. He was studious. He was energetic, and he was lucky.
While in school, Mr. Jones sold insurance for his father's company. In 1970, he sold the business and invested the profits in the oil and gas industry. Although the 27-year-old knew nothing about the industry, he learned quickly. The first 13 wells that Mr. Jones drilled all hit gas or oil at a time when the Arab oil embargo had driven up prices. Using all the capital at his disposal, Jones bought hundreds of oil and natural gas interests in Texas and Oklahoma, including the Arkoma Basin. Today, he continues to serve as president and CEO of Jerry Jones Oil and Gas Company. In 1989, in a downturn economy, he purchased the floundering Dallas Cowboys and Texas Stadium for $140 million.
I was fortunate. I was able to take a great education there at the university, great coaching from my parents, and plus mix that in with sports that made you really realize and think ahead, so that when the train came by, it wasn't a surprise. You're taught, imagine the play before the ball ever comes your way, so that when opportunity has come along in my life, I've seen it before. And I didn't hesitate, and that often is a very significant thing in timing, and so I just grabbed it. And that was the case of the Dallas Cowboys.
Mr. Jones quickly gained a reputation as a maverick, designated himself as general manager and becoming a hands-on owner. In 1993, the Cowboys won their first Super Bowl in 15 seasons against the Buffalo Bills. In 1994, they appeared in their NFL record 7th Super Bowl, beating the Bills again and becoming only the 5th team to win back-to-back Super Bowl championships. In 1996, the Cowboys won Super Bowl 30 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They became the first NFL team to win 3 Super Bowls in 4 seasons, while tying the NFL record for the most Super Bowl victories at 5. Jones' innovations in the areas of marketing, corporate sponsorship, television, stadium development, and community service have made a visible imprint on professional sports in America. In the pinnacle of his career, Jones opened the new Cowboy Stadium in Arlington, Texas in 2009. He paid for the $1.2 billion stadium with a mix of public and private funds. The most expensive stadium in the world, It holds 80,000 people and features the world's largest HD video screen.
The stadium speaks to strength because a lot of the steel, but it has a certain finesse to it because of all the glass. So the point is that when you think of football and you think of the physicalness of football, then we're injecting with that stadium a artistic, a architectural aspect of it that, to me, will speak to what the Dallas Cowboys are about.
With such success has come amazing generosity. The Jones are very involved with the Salvation Army.
The Salvation Army has told us, and we know it to be a fact, that incrementally that halftime has raised over $1 billion from where they would have been had they not had that kind of visibility. It's a organization that's been in this country 125 years. They inspire me. And so like anything else, the more we've put into it, the more we've become involved, the more we've gotten out of it. And it's probably singularly the best thing that we've done since owning the Cowboys.
Mr. Jones and his family support numerous charities devoted to helping children and their families, such as Easter Seals.
We could have Scott Seidel from 777 Partners to join me to present the Walter Camp Football Foundation 2021 Distinguished American Award to Jerry Jones. Also, if I could have Jerry and his beautiful wife, as well as Drew, Tony Dorsett, Flozell Adams. Can you guys all come up here? Cowboys, come up here for a great picture with Jerry and his wife.
Hey, good evening. Good evening. Good evening, honorees. Man, it's good to be up here with you. These ball players, these great Connecticut ball players, outstanding. I got a chance to meet many of them earlier tonight. And the one thing I know is they worked. I don't care what they were born with talent-wise. They worked. These guys that you heard come up here tonight, Drew, they fought for every inch. Tony Dorsett, one of the most electric, gifted players that have ever played this game. Tony worked every inch of it and every day to maximize where he could come from. He did it. Flozell Adams, I know everybody in this room is proud of Flozell, and I am too. And I'll tell you what, we had some glory days together. Nobody worked any harder than Flozell Adams out there. And he was a bad boy when he put them arms out there on. He could put it on you. Now, I want to start off by saying, Mario, I want to, on behalf of everyone, frankly, in this country, thank you and your predecessors for the kind of thing you do here for the Walter Camp Foundation. This is serious stuff. Thank you. Thank you. And I want those of us who are sitting up there, I'm going to put myself anywhere. They look like they're about 23. That's about my age. I'm going to slide right up in there with them. But I want us to realize that what you're seeing here is leadership. You're seeing down the road. How you take something great, something meaningful, and how you perpetuate it. Walter Camp was on the right road, boy. He understood. He not only understood the fundamentals, he understood that it had to be disciplined, but he understood what young people can be that they wouldn't have been. That they wouldn't have been. And I'm going to get off just a little tonight about the blocking and tackling. But I'm talking to you guys. And I'm talking to you guys too. From 30 to 80. I'm talking to us. And if I quit talking, my body language is still talking to you. Seriously. I'll tell my story because I know it was born of the love for football. I was a little guy and I wanted to show them. And they'd knock that old helmet around on me and turn it around, I'd be looking out the hole. But I wanted to be a football player. I looked up to the guys that played football. The girls looked up to the guys that played football. I wanted to be a football player. My master's degree in college was the role of marketing in modern day football. And I interviewed Bear Bryant. I interviewed Woody Hayes. I interviewed those guys when I was 21 years old. And Bear Bryant told me for my thesis, Jerry, you take the fake out of me, there's not much left. I'm the bear. And yes, I got to act to be the bear, but I'm the bear. And I believe I'm the bear. And I'm the bear around our players. And I'm the bear around our alumni. Many of you may not remember Bear Bryant, but Bear Bryant was a dynamic guy that got his name because he wrestled a bear when he was in high school, and they had the bear all chained up, but he still went up there and wrestled him anyway. But the point is, that was his story. Where am I going? Where am I going with this? Where I want to take you to is my experience. Gene and I were married when we were in school, had a little boy. We were in school. My team went down to Austin, Texas, and played the mighty University of Texas. They were number one. That team was number one that day. It alluded to it up there. At Fayetteville, Arkansas, where my school was, it took 2 airplanes to carry the team because the airport was not big enough to carry the bigger plane. And so you went down to Austin in 2 planes. Man, they were out there, and those thousands were singing, "The eyes of Texas are upon you." We were sitting in that dressing room, a bunch of kids. I think I weighed about 185 pounds, college. My coach got up and said, the people listening to that radio back in Arkansas, from 5 to 95, would give anything to be in your shoes and be here fighting for your state against Texas. And we went out there and by a miracle won the football game. We went back home to our school in the hills of Arkansas. And we looked in our mirrors. I looked in my mirror. That wasn't old Jerry anymore. Something changed. We weren't the same. We weren't the same. We changed. We were never scored on again and won the national championship. We changed, and it was not because we got stronger or faster. It's because all of a sudden we found out we could do it. We could actually do it. You saw it in your career. And then all of a sudden you find out you can do it, and then all of a sudden, boy, I can do that. I'm going to do some more. When we got involved with the Dallas Cowboys, Gene and I thought we at least had done enough to get in real trouble buying them because I didn't know for sure how I was going to pay for it. I really didn't. Genuinely didn't, but I wanted to be involved in ball. Boy, I wanted to be involved in it. I wanted to spend my life in ball. And all of a sudden, I got involved, and all of a sudden I did something, and it worked. Now, I thought that I'd done a little something to get a chance to even buy them, but all of a sudden it worked. And then I said, well, I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to do that again. And I became something a part of the NFL, even though I love football as a young, I became something that I would never become because of how passionate I was about what I was getting to do, and I just kept rolling. And I just kept rolling. So that wasn't the same cat that came in town to buy the Cowboys. That's a different guy. And you move along. It works that way. It works that way. Now, where am I going? That's what young people need to see. That's what the Walter Camp Foundation is about. We want them to see this. We want them to see the great players of their vintage, but then we want them to hear the stories of the other vintage. But the main thing we want them to see is it isn't something you read about in the paper or look at on television. It can happen to you. When we were playing in the bowl game for the championship, I was 20. And indulge me with an I and me story. We were working out in Houston, Texas, because our coach, who, by the way, is a distinguished American award person for the Walter Camp, Frank Brawls. Our camp took us down to Houston, the team, to get us away from New Year's Day and get us away from the camaraderie and our families coming in and all of that, get your mind on the ball. And while we were there, he took us on a field trip one day to give us a break. And we went out and we went in the Astrodome. Well, now this is a long time ago, but at that time the Astrodome, it had never been played in. It was the eighth wonder of the world. It was a complete field that totally air conditioned, could play baseball and football and compete in it. And we went out to that Astrodome. And I can remember, my goodness, how could you ever play? I mean, this is such something to compete in, and I was mesmerized. But over the years after that, I would look and see something written about the Astrodome. And I'd ask, well, I wonder how they did that. Wonder if they did that. Wonder if they did that. Over the years, I was 19. Roll the clock forward when I was 50. 50. Roll the clock forward when I went out to Arlington, where AT&T Stadium is out there, the biggest stadium. I'll save my punchline here. I went out there, and I remembered being in that Astrodome, because I remembered it when I was 20. I didn't know how I was going to pay for it, folks. I did not. Just recently with the Cowboys, I did not. We ultimately went immediately into one of the greatest crises this country's ever seen, financial crisis. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew one thing. Back when I was 20 years old, I saw a man do it. It didn't just take God. I saw a man put it together. And I'm not trying to be blasphemous. I'm just saying I saw a man put it and build the Astrodome. And I knew somehow I'd figure out a way to get the money. Well, guess what happens when you're 20 and you see people that have done it and hear the stories of how they've done it? You can put 5 of them damn Astrodomes in the AT&T Stadium. We show out. We really do show out. And we get better, and we get better, and we get better. And that's the order of things. That's the way he made it. That's the order of things. Walter Camp, I want to thank you again. Not only is this certainly a great honor, Mario was talking about, I wanted to be here. I wanted to be here so much more than you wanted me here. You can't believe it. Because I have such respect for what this organization does. I have such respect for what it can do today. And it can create interest, and it can create motivation. And man, I can tell you right now, you won't ever look at anybody or see anybody. It may not have been making the touchdowns, but you won't see anybody benefited more from football than Jerry Jones. It's been a big deal. And I'm not through yet. And you're just getting started. So Walter Camp, you great supporters, you folks at work, and you work right down there in the grass, I thank you. And I thank the foundation for including me in this wonderful organization, along with my teammate, Drew Pearson. Thank you, guys.
Jerry Jones, our Walter Camp Football Foundation 2021 Distinguished American Award winner.